Hello and welcome to DNQ Football here in Italy with our San Marino backdrop as we discuss AFCON preliminary qualification round one?
The
preliminary round. 4 matches, 8 teams participating. Previously it's been 10. Of course, no Eritrea, no Seychelles in this one. So we're going to run through very quickly an outline to each of the 4 double-legged fixtures to be played between the 20th and 26th of March 2024 to determine who will go through to AFCON qualification proper,
Yes.
as it were.
Nice.
We're going to take 2 each. Do you want to get the ball rolling?
Yes, can do. So, we have got, I think we'll start off with Somalia Eswatini, which pits the lowest ranked nation from Africa that are participating in this AFCON qualification, as you mentioned. No Seychelles, no Eritrea, for plenty of reasons why they've withdrawn. We don't need to go on that in this video. So Somalia go in ranked 198 as the lowest ranked nation. They play Eswatini, ranked 149. And this is an exact replica of this time in qualifying for the last AFCON, where Eswatini played Somalia and ran out quite comfortable winners, 5-1 across 2 legs in 2022. Now, a fair bit's changed since then, and I'm going to blitz through this one before giving my prediction. So Somalia have had some decent changes in their squad, tapped into eligibility potentials, shall we say?
Yeah.
So most players now have less than 10 caps, which inexperienced on the international stage, but are playing in better leagues.
It's a big step change.
Yeah, and they've got a large number now that play across Europe. So they've got a player called Sakasan that plays for #United.
Yes.
In the UK. They've got players from Finland, from Norway, from Sweden. They've even got Abdi Salim, who has confirmed that he is in this squad, and he plays for Orlando City in the MLS, I believe. So, big players. For Eswatini, I did a little bit of digging. I could not find much on the squad and the players at all. I think you with African nations, you find it either goes one or two ways, doesn't it?
For sure.
You've either got great coverage and almost updates for every single player that's announced, or that withdraws from the squad, or isn't even included in the squad. Eswatini, I couldn't find a huge amount. So I'm going to kind of guess that they'll have the same established experienced players that they normally have. Gamedze midfield, Mamba up top, Sibonso Mamba at the back. But I expect this tie to be a lot closer than a couple of years ago. Eswatini have been on a poor run. They've lost their first 2 games of African World Cup qualifications. They lost to Cape Verde 2-0, lost to Libya 1-0 as well. Somalia have also lost their first 2 CAF World Cup qualifiers for 2026, but that was 3-1 to Algeria and just 1-0 to Uganda, so not bad at all. And they also drew 0-0 with Libya in October, so you've got that direct comparison of the 2 teams facing the same opponent. Somalia have never got beyond this round in AFCON qualification, so there is the chance to make history. Well, I say that. They've never played more than 2 games in an AFCON qualification tournament, so I'm assuming that they've never got past this stage. To be honest, I can't call this. I remember when we did this preview last time and we were quite confident of an Eswatini victory across the 2 legs, which proved to be. I do not know how to call this one at all. What I've got is, because I've got Eswatini at home in the second leg and their experience on the international stage, I've got Eswatini edging it just over the 2 games. However, I am not confident. So, if there's anyone watching that supports either of these 2 teams that has a case or an argument that Somalia are our favourites and are likely to go through, please put a comment down. We are always keen to educate ourselves and learn about things that we don't know. But that's how I see Eswatini, Somalia going in the prelims. Thoughts?
I'd have to agree. It's tough to
Thank
look
you, sir.
past Eswatini. They are a lot higher ranked.
Yeah.
It's the biggest gulf between any sides in this first round.
Yeah.
It really is kind of top versus bottom in this. They have the previous of a couple of years ago, but this Somalia team's almost completely different. So it's going to be really, really difficult to judge before we go into the game. We'll only know, this sounds so stupid, we'll only know after the first leg. You know?
Yeah.
That will really show which way the tide's going. If Eswatini go into the second leg with either a lead to hold on to or it's level, I would be strongly backing them. But I do think, because last time, what was it? Did you say 5-1? I think it'll be closer.
Yeah.
I think it's, how much closer? I'm not sure. Maybe a 3-2, maybe a 4-2 type thing. But it'll be entertaining nonetheless, I'm sure.
What about you? What picture now? Where are we going to go?
We're going to start with Sao Tome and Principe. And they're playing against South Sudan.
Fantastic.
Now, this is one where, unless you have done a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, fortunately, as I have,
God, you're good.
I know, I would have looked at this if somebody just said that fixture, and I'd have gone, oh, yeah, maybe STP to win. I wouldn't have even really thought about it. However, I know that South Sudan have been improving of late, but I didn't quite realise just how low STP had slipped to in the ranks. They are 191 in the world.
I did not know that.
They are extremely low. 0 wins in 2023, a 6-0 loss to Nigeria, a 4-0 loss to Tunisia last year.
Tough games, those, but yeah.
You're going to like this. Since March 2016, 8 years ago, they've played 26 times. They've won only 3. All of those games against Mauritius. They haven't beaten anyone other than Mauritius since 2016.
So in the last 8 years, they have only beaten Mauritius. That is a sensational stat. How thrilled were you when you found that out?
Well, very.
Yeah.
I was looking at it and I was thinking, hold on, they've only won those 3 games. And I know you can make stats look a certain way, right? In March 2016, they did beat Libya in a 2-legged tie, which they did lose. But since then, since that international break, 8 years ago, they've played 26 times. They've only beaten Mauritius. And not to speak ill of Mauritius, but they are a poor side internationally. And I just always had this thing that Sao Tome and Principe were a stronger side, probably through FIFA, to be honest, probably through really rudimentary knowledge of the team. They have a player who plays in the 2nd division of the Argentinian league in Luis Leal. He's one of their most capped players, one of the top scorers as well, 23 games, 10 goals, a decent ratio for him. I think if South Sudan stop him, they won't have any problems at all. They had a mixed 2023 themselves, South Sudan, who find themselves 166 in the FIFA World Rankings. So it is a lot higher, certainly, than STP. 5 losses, 1 draw and 2 wins. Most recently drawing against Mauritania in a World Cup qualifier. And Mauritania, another side, on the up across the last few years. Of course, got quite far, or have been quite far in AFCONs previously. They've got a couple of dangerous forwards. You'll like these names. Tito Okello and Machop Chol, which are just fantastic, fantastic names. They are a side on the up, generally speaking. 166 is a pretty solid ranking. You get some very decent sides around there. Okay, they're not I wouldn't pip them to qualify for AFCON, but when you actually look at it, and in a bit more detail than just going, STP have got Luis Leal, they'll probably win that game, and you dig into it, the facts and figures don't lie. South Sudan have to be heavy favourites to win this.
Yeah.
STP not great defensively, which I think will hopefully lead to some open and entertaining games. But I'm going to have to back South Sudan across the 2 legs. Have I convinced you?
You have. And do you know what's mad? We took, as we said at the top of the video, we've taken 2 of these fixtures each to look into. If you just said to me at the start of this, one of these teams is ranked 166, and one of them is 191, I would have gone South Sudan being that. I'd have thought it was flipped on its head. But again, that's just through a lack of research on the likes of STP. But I have to say, thinking about it now, it feels like we've looked at South Sudan in qualification campaigns in the past where they've been a tricky team against. Have they played like Sierra Leone or something?
They've played. Don't forget they played Gambia, who we'd covered a lot because they beat Gambia.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And then narrowly lost as well. But they were a real tricky thorn in that group with Congo and Mali.
Yes. Yeah, they were. Yeah,
and,
they were.
And I think, it was
They
that.
weren't
It
a
was
pushover,
surprising.
were they,
No,
against those three solid sides. Yeah, it's got to be South Sudan for that one.
I
isn't it?
think
Across
so.
the two. It's
I
got to
think
be
so.
across the two. On to the third of the 4 fixtures in this prelim qualification round for AFCON, and we move on to Chad, Mauritius. These games are the 22nd and the 26th of March, so kick off in a couple of days' time. Chad ranked 181, Mauritius 177. So this is the closest tie from a ranking perspective. Mauritius have actually played at an AFCON before. They took part in the 1974 competition. They played 3, they lost 3 in the group stages, but I just thought that was cool. I would have never guessed that they would have. I don't know. Does anyone know if there was qualification for that? Part of me feels like if there was, then fair enough. I probably should have done more research. Interestingly here, the rankings are close, but recent form sort of makes me think that this is going to go one way. So Mauritius, they've played more across the last year, almost double the number of games than Chad. They've had way better results. They've beaten Angola 1-0. They have also drawn with Angola 0-0, beat Kenya 1-0. They've beaten Pakistan 3-0. And that's all in the last... Those games are all in the last 9 months. They've got a lot of local players that make up the Mauritius squad, but they are all very experienced, 20 to 45 plus caps. And they all play for a handful of Mauritius-based teams. So we have teams that international sides that are made up of a lot of local players. Yeah. They have that
cohesion.
Yes, exactly. That's the word. Chad, they've got a lot less experience. However, they've got some players that are in, I guess, on paper, better leagues. So Mahamat is a striker that's in Tier 5 in France. They've got Mundilamaji that plays in the Turkish Super League. He's got a couple of goals in about 11, 12 caps. So I think I'm not convinced on how this one will go. My gut is telling me Mauritius, good core set of players that have played with each other a lot, and they've been in good form across the last year against a Chad side that's still finding its feet. A lot of their players have got sort of less than 15 to 20 caps. I think it'll be close, but I think Mauritius will edge it. Also, Mauritius are at home in the second leg, and I've always got a little bit of a thing about that. So Mauritius is my prediction. Mauritius to go through out of those 2 games. What do you think? You happy? Have I given you the stats, facts, and figures that make you believe that I'm true?
You've given me the stats, facts, and figures to make me also unsure as to who's going to progress from this one. But of course, if you have any inside knowledge, thoughts or feelings around whether or not Chad or Mauritius will go through, then of course comment down below. But this one, I think this will be really, really close. There is just one game left to speak about, and that is, of course, Djibouti versus Liberia. No surprises in the FIFA World Rankings between this one. It is the second largest gap between the sides. Of course, we spoke about the largest earlier with Somalia, Eswatini, but this Djibouti 192 against Liberia 152, so 40 places between those sides. Djibouti were really, really bizarrely good at the Mauritius Four Nations Trophy.
They were.
Which happened
Did they win it?
Yeah. Because they got a walkover win over Kenya, who didn't arrive in time. But then, of course, they beat both Mauritius and Pakistan 3-1 apiece, which was a bit of a turn-up for the books if you looked at rankings and things like that. It was a really, really impressive performance. They did then follow that up with a 6-0 defeat to Egypt.
Yes.
But it is Egypt. And then only a 1-0 defeat to Guinea-Bissau, which is not too bad. They've actually also played a game in January of this year, so one of the only sides that have played a match in 2024 so far, a friendly against Equatorial Guinea, a 1-1 draw. So that shows that they are not pushovers, similar to Somalia in the fact that they've definitely got stronger over the last few years. However, their squad is far more made up of local players playing in the Djibouti leagues. They've got Mahabeh and Akinbinu, the sort of main forwards that they have, 7 goals each that they've got, which is actually, for a side like Djibouti, and they've not got that many caps, that's quite a lot of goals to have racked up. So they'll be looking for more. However, it is tough to look past Liberia, 40 places higher. I was surprised to see them in the first round. I think they're a bit too strong to be playing in this.
They must have regressed in the FIFA World Rankings to even be involved in this.
Yeah, and you've got to think there's other sides like like Gambia have obviously flown up.
Yeah.
Lots of sides have moved above them as they've reasonably sort of stagnated.
Yeah.
They have got Sangare at the back, plays for Livingston in the Scottish setup. And they've also got Kenne, the midfielder, who plays for Shrewsbury on loan from Hibernian. So clearly, a decent level player.
Yeah, but they've got a couple of players in the Scottish leagues, right?
A couple of players, in the Scottish leagues. And of course, Oscar Dotley, one of their key players, plays for Slavia Prague as well. Likely to probably be captain for this matchup as well. Lots of players with a few more caps to their names. They don't play in the same league, so they don't have that same sort of club cohesion. But they are a lot stronger man for man on paper. This is a little bit of a rinse and repeat to what we said earlier with the Somalia Eswatini one. I think that this could be closer than people think. I think that Djibouti could make this tough for their opponents. However, I can't look past a Liberia win with the players they've got.
I'd have been stunned if you'd have said at the end of that. No. And I just really fancy Djibouti over 2 legs. No, it's got to be.
Again, I think it will be close. I think this will be look. This could be completely wrong. I don't think this will be massively high scoring. I think this could be closer. I think this will be around the 3-1 across 2 legs. And now I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that Djibouti they've shown with a 1-0 defeat to Guinea-Bissau and a 1-1 against Equatorial Guinea, they're a tougher nut to crack. And I just think that Liberia will run out winners. But I think that
they'll be made to work for it across the 2 legs kind of thing. Yeah. The thing about that January game is you don't know what squads came for those games without being in the core kind of club football league season. So I would agree, Liberia. I think they'll be made to work for it, but I think they will run out. Not comfortable winners, but they won't be in threat.
I'd be surprised if they're losing the tie at any point.
Yeah.
But I do expect it to be closer than they would be comfortable with. But to summarise, we're going Liberia.
Yes.
Mauritius.
Yes.
South Sudan.
We are. And a close but unsure Eswatini. Those are our 4 predictions for the preliminary qualification round of AFCON 2025.
Qualifies, yeah. There's, you know what I mean? It's like the qualification for the preliminary.
We've had a long day.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been up for a very long time. We're here in San Marino. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop your predictions below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It does us huge, huge favours. And we will see you next time.